As I'm sure many of you know by now, Auston Matthews has signed a 4-year, $13.25 million extension with the Toronto Maple Leafs. But in this video, we're going to be answering the question, why was it only 4 years? You know, you think that you'd want to lock up a guy like Auston Matthews, the face of your team, for a lot longer than 4 years. He's not having a bridge deal. He obviously proved himself what he has in the NHL. He's not looking to make more money. Like, this is obviously a weird term. But we're going to be going into this video why we think this term is or was the reason that it is 4 years. There's a lot of reasons that we think could be a possibility, mainly on the Leafs side of it more than Auston Matthews. But Noah, just before we get into that, what do you think about the signing as you weren't in the last video, and what do you think about the 4 years just briefly before we go in depth into it?
Yeah, well, there's a premium price for having a player like Auston Matthews, and it's evident by the money. I mean, $13.25 million. It's absolutely crazy. I mean, he's a 50-goal scorer in and out, and he's the face of a original six franchise. So I understand it, but I'm not a huge fan of it. I'm going to dive into that a little bit later. But yeah, it's a crazy, ridiculous contract.
It is, yeah. So I think the main reason that we're going to see, or we've seen a 4-year extension, is because of the other players that are on forwards with Auston Matthews. No, this is not just Auston Matthews' team. You have John Tavares, Mitch Marner, William Nylander, 3 of those guys who are soon going to be expiring, and I'll go into detail on each of them here. John Tavares currently has 2 years left at $11 million, and then it's going to be a UFA. At that age, he'll be 34, and I don't think he'll be making $11 million. I'm positive he won't be making $11 million. I think he'd make much less, want a team-friendly deal to be able to get this team a cup. Obviously, they haven't had a cup yet, but that is their ultimate goal with this contract extension for Auston Matthews. So you got $11.6 million this year, $13.25 for the next 4. So they have a 5-year window to be able to get a Stanley Cup to Toronto. You got Mitch Marner, who we don't really know what has been going on lately. You know, there's been a lot of people saying Mitch Marner should be traded. Mitch Marner should not be on this team no more. They need to change something up if they can't get deeper in the playoffs. But, I really don't think the Maple Leafs are going out of their way to make this trade. I don't think they'll be looking for it. I think if someone offers them something that's decent, they might consider it. But $10.9 million for Mitch Marner, I think he will want more come a contract extension in 2 years,
yes,
the same year as John Tavares. And William Nylander has recently expressed that he really wants to stay in Toronto, and he will obviously be making more than $6.9 million for certain after this upcoming season, whether it's with Toronto or whether it's not. But, the Maple Leafs, I think, would want to re-sign Nylander, and especially if Nylander wants to stay, that's what they're going to have to do. But a lot of other people on this team, they're not really here to stay. Maybe you have Matthew Knies. He's probably going to sign long-term with this team. David Kampf obviously did as well. But other guys, I think they might try to take something out of the Tampa Bay Lightning's bag where they just kind of rotate the bottom 6 out every year from when their contract expires instead of trying to sign people long-term, just in case stuff don't work out. But Noah, what do you think about that situation they have on forward with the contracts that will soon be expiring for Tavares, Nylander, and Marner?
Well, I think if Auston signing 4 years basically means that he doesn't want to commit. I mean, that's kind of what I got out of it. I'm kind of shocked he didn't get the 8 years, kind of the same boat as you. You've seen a tweet from him saying he wants to get the team to the top of the mountain. But so why don't you want to sign for those extra 4 years and sign for 8 years? It doesn't make sense to me. If you're there, you're there for the long term. Long term means getting the team to the mountain. I really think that this is him wanting to get his money and then peace out. Going to Arizona or LA or one of those guys that are going to pay him crazy money. I don't know. If this isn't, get my money and dip, I don't know what is.
Yeah. There's also another thing that goes through my mind when I see the 4 years is whether that is on Brad Treliving. Maybe the Leafs organization themselves were not willing to commit 8 years on Auston Matthews because, with this 5-year window now, 6 if you include Morgan Riley, who expires a year after Auston Matthews. If they can't get it done in 5 years, they're going to have to change something. I think they know that at this point, that if they can't get it done in 5 years, whether it's rip it from the top down, get some new guys, trade, Marner, Matthews, if these guys are still there, Nylander, they might have to do it after 5 years if they can't get it done with the core they have now. That's also going through my head at this point, just because that is you can't be wasting these guys in their prime. That's not what you have to do with this incredible roster, frankly. These guys should not be where they are. They should have won the cup by now if they can get everything down. Obviously, they have the situation with the goalies where they don't really know. Ilya Samsonov right now is the starter. I don't think that's a Stanley Cup goalie. Not saying he can't get you to the playoffs, but I don't think he can take you deep into the playoffs. So I think there are some worse things other than the the top of this franchise that they will have to do to get to a Stanley Cup. But, Matthews is realistically the beginning of this. That is what's going to get you there, and then you need stuff to help him. That's not just going to be on Matthews himself. Like, he's going to need some help. You can see they did it this year. They got Max Domi and Tyler Bertuzzi, excuse me. Yeah. And so those are two guys that have proved themselves that they will be capable of adding to this team. Ryan Reeves, very good locker room guy, as we know from Minnesota. I know that locker room guy is not something you really want to hear for a team heading to the playoffs, but chemistry really matters. And I think Ryan Reeves, from what you've seen in Minnesota, from what you've seen everywhere else he's been, he's a real guy that will get everybody together. He'll make them stick together. And it's something you need for this kind of team. Hopefully they'll do that. Hopefully he'll do that in Toronto as well with this 3-year contract extension. But Noah, do you think that they need to make another move right now? Or do you think that this 4-year deal, or this 4-year window, 5-year window, is long enough for the Maple Leafs?
I don't think so. I think their core is set now, and I think they want to push, and they want to try and compete for a Stanley Cup. But I think if Auston, I'm going to go back to the contract thing with Auston. I think if he truly wanted to win a cup in Toronto, I really think he would have signed 8 years. I also do think he doesn't ask for that much money, and I think people thinking he should have got 14 or 15. That's absolutely crazy. Like he's a top 3 player in the league, no doubt, but you don't have any more money for depth guys. And you touched on kind of the Tampa Bay algorithm, I guess, where they just rotate the bottom 6, which I guess Toronto might have to do. But, and I don't know. I just think Matthews absolutely is deserving of a payday, but it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Right now, I think this is a good enough contract monetary-wise, but as we know, the cap is going to go up, I think, a good bit over the next few years. Maybe that's what they're looking for. Maybe
I think
5 years' time, 13.5 or 13.25 million will be close enough to probably a $9-10 million deal. We don't really know how much it's going to go up over these next few years. We just know that the chart is looking like it's going to be a big straight up. So we're going to have to see. Maybe the Leafs will not willing to pay him that much, but realistically on that same basis, I guess, if you think the cap's going to go up a lot, why not give him an 8-year deal at the same amount, or even just a slight bit more? Like I said, it's going to be probably in 5 years worth a $10 million deal. What about in 8 years? It might only be like a 6 or 7. So I guess Auston Matthews might not have been willing to commit to that too, but we don't really know, and I doubt we actually will know whose basis this contract was on.
I do also want to touch, you look at Vegas and you look at Colorado the year before, 2 Stanley Cup winners. Didn't have a guy Jack Eichel was making $10 million, but they didn't have a guy making over $10 million. McKinnon never signed that deal until after they won the cup. And, you got 3 guys, Marner, Matthews, Tavares, all making over, well, Marner's making 10.9, but we'll say 11 for the sake of this, all making over 11 million. Like it's I don't know. I got some questions, I got to say.
Yeah, they're gonna have a lot to figure out over the coming years if they don't get this done. I wouldn't say it's panic mode yet for the Maple Leafs. Obviously, this is a bit of a relief knowing Matthews is signed a bit longer term than what he would have expired next year. But that's only the beginning. You still have Marner, Nylander, and Tavares, for the next 3 years. You got Morgan Riley locked up long term for a fantastic contract of 7.5. But now you got those 3 guys. You have your core done. And then it's just the rest of the roster, the fillers, the guys that will hold this team together and be able to work with it when those guys aren't on the ice. But let us know in the comments below what you think about a 4-year deal for Matthews. Obviously, I wouldn't say it's ideal for Leafs fans, but it will work. It does work for Matthews. The salary is not too bad, but let us know what you think. We want to hear it. Well, I'd love to read the stuff. That's all we have for this video. If you like it, make sure to give it a like. Also, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content down the road all throughout the season. Season starts soon. Very exciting times. Hope you liked the video. Thank you for watching. See you later.